Hello and welcome back to the channel. My name's Dave, and I'm going to touch on a topic that I published on Facebook a while ago, and it created quite a lot of let's say negative feedback. The subject is nitrogen filled tyres. Is it a scam or is it correct? Well, I've done a lot of research into this, and I think I know the answers. I'm pretty certain I know all the answers. So please, if you don't agree, I don't need to hear about it. I don't want to hear about it. Your comment will get deleted. If you do agree, that's fine. We can have a discussion about it. I'm up for a discussion. I'm not up for bad comments. So without further ado, what I'm going to do is put my glasses on and read to you again. Okay, so nitrogen filled tyres, is it a scam or is it correct? Is it worth doing, basically? Well, both options are viable and are correct, but I wouldn't pay good money for nitrogen in my tyres. In my opinion, there are merits to using pure nitrogen in tyres, but the actual sale of the nitrogen by tyre shops and dealerships and the benefits they quote are the scam here. They're plagued with misquoted facts and snake oil science, just like this picture I'm about to show you now. Okay, so I hadn't realised that the picture I downloaded was so incorrect. I'm recording this video to put into the middle of the video I recorded, just to talk about this picture. What a scam. So what they've done is, I'm just going to bring it up. So what they've done is they've made a picture, and it shows two tyres. It shows a regular air-filled tyre, and it shows a nitrogen-filled tyre. You'll see it on the screen overlaid over this my chat in here. Now, the black dots are oxygen, and the orange dots are nitrogen. In the nitrogen filled tyre, they show two oxygen dots and about 20 or 30 nitrogen dots. Well, that just is not the case. Okay, now, and the reason it's not the case is not the quantity of nitrogen, it's the fact that none of it's leaking out. They're trying to insinuate that nitrogen won't leak out, but it does leak out, and we know it does. Yet on the regular air-filled tyre, they show black dots outside the tyre, and that's just not the case, because they both leak out just as much as each other. And this is what you come across all the time. Incorrect images like this is from Continental Tyres in the USA. They're just lying through their teeth, because both nitrogen and oxygen will leak out of that tyre. That is snake oil right there. Let me get on with the video. They exaggerate things. They tell you things that are not true. They change what they're talking about to make it sound better, and that is the scam. Using nitrogen is not a problem, but there are only two differences that are scientifically correct. Nitrogen does not contain moisture, and its molecules are slightly, marginally larger, which means they are less likely to leach through the tyre rubber. Any other points about rolling resistance, expansion or rubber corrosion are just snake oil statements, and they're not really the case at all. And here's why. The other two that are scientifically correct are so small that they make no measurable difference to all of us as average motorists. As a four-wheel drive owner, using nitrogen will be taking $10 per tyre and burning it, because as soon as you deflate your tyres for off-road use, your nitrogen is mainly gone. When it comes to inflating your tyres, if you carry a nitrogen cylinder with you, then your fictitious fuel saving will be negated because of the additional weight. So the vast majority will be filling with air anyway. So what's the point? Okay, I'm going to give you some facts before I get into it. Tyres are designed and manufactured to work in air, not in nitrogen, in air. Not a problem with using nitrogen, but they're designed to work in air. Nitrogen molecules are slightly smaller than air molecules, and this means that over a period of about a year you will lose about 1.5 psi more than you would if you had nitrogen in your tyres. Now, car tyres expand due to heat because of the water vapor contained within the air, and not because of the air itself. Nitrogen is created by removing components such as oxygen, argon and water vapor from it, which is why it is dry. It's just pure nitrogen. It would be no cheaper in going the other way and removing water vapor from air, which is why it isn't done generally, because there's no need to. The expansion of dry air versus nitrogen is almost identical. Now I say dry air, air without moisture. It is so small that you wouldn't be able to notice any differences. And let me give you an example. At 1 bar or 20 degrees centigrade, dry air's thermal expansion is 3.4252 and nitrogen's expansion is 3.4242. It is 0.001 less expansion than air. So you would not be able to notice that. Nitrogen may cause tyres not to oxidize as much, but it is insignificant over the life of the tyre. Also, the tyre's external surface is subject to atmospheric air permanently. We are told there are fuel savings in using nitrogen, but that isn't the case either. What they're referring to here is the loss of pressure being less than air, and that is true. However, if a tyre is maintained and the correct pressure is at the correct pressure regularly, then there will be no difference in fuel economy due to rolling resistance, which is what they're talking about. It is the pressure that causes this and not the gas contained within. So what they're saying is nitrogen will escape less, so therefore you'll have a deflated tyre, or more deflated tyre with air, and there you'd increase your rolling resistance, therefore there's a fuel saving. But that is just garbage, because as long as you check the air pressure in your tyres on a regular basis and it is correct, then it's exactly the same regardless of what gas is inside. The dangers of using nitrogen are that people think that this is a miracle gas and they don't need to check their tyres as often. In reality, they need to check them exactly as they did when they were using air, because nitrogen seeps out the same as air does. It might be slightly less, but the pressure would still be going down. There's no need to take my word for any of this. Here's some facts from Consumer Reports and the NHTSA in the USA. So, should you use nitrogen in your car tyres? So the Consumer Report, I'll put a link to it in the description. But I've done some grammatical error fixes in their spelling and their wording, so it is slightly different to what you might see if you click on the link. It says, should I use nitrogen in car tyres? This common pitch is compelling. Filling your car's tyres with nitrogen will reduce air loss, boost fuel economy, reduce rolling resistance and improve safety. Some cars are even sold with the telltale green caps from the valve stems, signalling the tyres have already been filled with nitrogen. Dealerships and tyre shops often charge owners to fill tyres with nitrogen at $5 or more per tyre, driving routine service visits or when replacing your tyres. But is nitrogen worth the price? Testing conducted independently by Consumer Reports and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration shows that the benefits are more theoretical than are practical. First off, dry air is 78% nitrogen, 21% oxygen and 1% argon. The other gases in it are not measurable really for us. and there is almost always some water vapour present. The nitrogen used to fill tyres is a process gas that voids many of the impurities of regular air, but if you plan on using it, make sure the retailer removes all the original air to ensure the tyre is truly filled with nitrogen. Also, you'll want to top off the tyres with nitrogen in future when the pressure drops. There is no harm in mixing it with regular air, but it does sort of defeat the purpose. Most of the selling points for nitrogen really relate to the maintaining of proper tyre pressure, explains Ryan, unpronounceable name, of CR's tyre project leader. So how we tested the air loss. Consumer Reports conducted a 12-month study of our auto test centre using 31 different tyre models of all-season tyres. The tyres and wheels were purchased brand new. We first ensured that we had a 95% nitrogen purity in the tyre the claimed limit of our nitrogen system, which generates nitrogen gas from ambient air and removes water vapour. We filled one tyre per model with air and another with nitrogen. Both were filled at 30 psi at room temperature. We set both tyres outdoors for 1 year, then checked the inflation pressure at room temperature again. Both tyres lost pressure over that time, but the difference in loss was minimal. The average loss of the air-filled tyres was just 3.5 psi from the initial 30 psi setting. Nitrogen-filled tyres lost an average of 2.2 psi. The results show that nitrogen does reduce pressure loss, but the reduction was only 1.3 psi difference from air-filled tyres over an entire year. Our test showed that while nitrogen has some advantages, both nitrogen and air-filled tyres lose pressure over time. It is important that car owners routinely check their tyre pressures anyway. We have concerns that car owners who use nitrogen might check their tyre pressures less often. This would be a mistake. All the owners of the air-filled tyres need to do is make sure that their tyre pressures are maintained, and they will obtain exactly the same fuel savings as nitrogen-filled tyre owners. Okay, so what the NHTSA found. The NHTSA study also found that regular air escapes tyres at a slightly higher rate than pure nitrogen does. The government agency concluded that nitrogen does reduce tyre degradation by limiting oxidization. Oxidization refers to the damage caused by exposing tyres in the oxygen in regular air, which can make rubber become brittle. However, this is not a practical concern for most consumers because they replace tyres long before degradation is a problem, and the external surface is exposed to air 24/7, 365 days of the year anyway. In our experience, passenger tyre service life is dependent on both wear, how even it is and how many miles a tyre goes, and age. Tyres are designed to be used with air, and degradation is not a problem for regular tyres used and maintained properly. Some tyre manufacturers say tyres need to be replaced within 10 years, even if they've never been used, because of how rubber degrades over time. Degrades, not degradates. The lab report from the NHTSA also found that inflating with nitrogen in place of air had little or no direct effect on tyre rolling resistance performance. Rolling resistance is a factor in fuel economy, and it is something that is part of CR's routine tyre testing. The underlying concern is that an underinflated tyre would have increased rolling resistance, hurting vehicles' fuel economy. Nitrogen may aid this because it seeps out at a slower rate, but with either gas, the tyre's rolling resistance would be the same when maintained at the proper tyre pressure. So the bottom line. Anyone who has had a flat tyre can explain, tyres don't hold up the car by themselves. They need to be filled with air. Pressure changes over time with temperature affecting air density and the permeating of the rubber. Check tyre pressures once a month, and when the tyres are cooling in the morning, top off as necessary with regular air. It is a low cost way to bolster your car's safety and fuel efficiency. Routine maintenance is critical to long tyre life and in good health. Proper tyre inflation pressure is the objective, says Woody Rogers, Director of Tyre Information at Tyres, a major national tyre retailer. Air works fine and is essentially free. There is a stronger case to be made for nitrogen for high tyre pressure, heavy duty applications ranging from large commercial trucks to aeroplanes. But based on our experience with passenger cars and these test results, consumers would be better served and would save their money by just using air in the tyres and checking them monthly. So there you have it. So one more thing, there is nothing wrong with using nitrogen in passenger cars and trucks, but it does take commitment and potentially cost. Nitrogen users should be diligent about topping off only with nitrogen to ensure they are getting the intended benefits, whatever they are. And as far as I can see, all that's happening here is the people trying to sell it, the snake oil salesman are just fudging the figures to make them look better, and the actual benefits of nitrogen are negligible. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you out there.
Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like the video. And don't forget to subscribe.